We're going to get started. Welcome and thank you for joining our webinar on how to start a campus kitchen. My name is Olivia Regine and I'm the Community Development Coordinator at the Campus Kitchens Project National Office in DC. So this presentation is meant to give you some background on the Campus Kitchen Project, an overview of our planning process in general, and we'll also have a question and answer session towards the end. If you have any questions while I'm going over the information, please feel free to write it in the chat box. All right. So as many of you may know, food insecurity and hunger are major issues across America. It is seen in many different types of communities, rural and urban, and has many different faces. It is undoubtedly something that your community faces, and I'm sure you've probably heard that 1 out of every 6 Americans and 1 out of every 5 children don't know where their next meal is coming from. That actually adds up to about 50 million Americans living in food insecure households. So not only are millions of people experiencing hunger in our nation, but millions are also wasting food. 40% of food in the U.S. is actually wasted each year, and this costs Americans over $165 billion annually in wasted resources. And these are the statistics that the Campus Kitchens Project is seeking to combat. So across the country, we have 49 campus kitchens at the moment, and we're very excited to launch our 50th within the next coming months. And these campus kitchens are driven by students like yourselves, mostly millennials, which is actually the first generation to be raised on this concept of service. So not only are there motivated students at these schools, but there's also unused space, food, and knowledgeable communities. At the Campus Kitchens Project, we believe in asset-based development, which essentially means that these are all already resources that are existing and assets that could be built upon for the development of our program. Rather than looking at what is missing, it's important to identify the untapped resources you have on and off your campus. If we start to look at our universities as part of the communities, for example, we can see the assets we can bring. So at the Campus Kitchens Project, we value building on the existing assets, as I mentioned, doing what we call going beyond the meal, which I'll discuss in a moment, and building student leaders like you all. Those who founded the Campus Kitchens Project decided to link all those pieces together, student leaders who can recover food that would have gone to waste otherwise, and put university dining halls to use after hours to feed those struggling with food insecurity. In addition, we are also teaching students to see wasted resources as sustainable solutions to community issues. So our general model has 3 essential components. The first crucial aspect is students recovering food that would have otherwise gone to waste. This can occur at a variety of locations, as you can see, such as dining halls, grocery stores, restaurants, farms, and so on. The next component of our model is preparing meals. Some campus kitchens reheat or repurpose food to create well-balanced and nutritious meals, while others scratch cook. This all depends on the type of product they're receiving from dining, grocery stores, and so on. Students then volunteer their time to deliver these meals to individuals or agencies in need in the community who are struggling with food insecurity. We work with a variety of different agencies like homeless shelters, after-school programs, low-income housing facilities, and even individual home deliveries. So just to give you a glimpse at the past school year, as you can see in 2014 to 2015 school year, we had 45 affiliate schools at the time across the country. And as far as the space goes, Dining Services designates unused kitchen space on or near campus to be shared and used during off hours. And in that space, over 23,000 students dedicated over 76,000 volunteer hours. Students contribute to the program in many different capacities, from curating and delivering the meals as volunteers to guiding the program as memberships of the leader team, which I'll discuss in a little bit. So in last year alone, our student volunteers recovered nearly 1 million pounds of food from dining halls, food banks, farmers markets, grocery stores, and so on. This food was then stored at the on-campus kitchen. All of this food would have otherwise gone to waste. So with that, students take part in cooking shifts and prepare and repackage the donated food into balanced meals. Last year, our schools prepared over 300,000 nutritious meals. These meals are then transported and delivered to community partners and individuals in need, such as shelters, after-school programs, and so on. Last year, the campus kitchens fed over 15,000 clients and over 1,000 sessions on nutrition education, gardening, and so on. And I'll talk a little bit more about going beyond the meal later in the presentation. This added nearly $1.5 million in economic value to these communities we serve, allowing the agencies to focus more of their time and efforts on money in their mission and empowering their clients. So as you can see just in the numbers, the impact we're making in communities and nationwide is really significant. So while all these statistics are great, we all know that we can never end hunger, just feed our way out of hunger. This is why we encourage all of our schools to go beyond the meal, which I mentioned before, and really get to the root causes of these issues rather than perpetuating the cycle of poverty and hunger. While meals are the foundation of our work, they are more of a means to a holistic solution of hunger and poverty. We are not just providing services, but we want a deeper presence in the community. The Campus Kitchen project uses food as a tool to better address and meet the needs of the community by developing programs for their clients that address the underlying causes of hunger. Many students and staff wish to become more connected in the surrounding communities, but oftentimes don't have a meaningful way to connect. Providing meals is a great first step and a way to get your foot in the door, but there are also so many more possibilities once you get started. Once your campus kitchen has provided meals to an agency, they begin to form a relationship and find out what other needs their client agencies might have that the university could assist with. Schools might find that local agencies have much more to offer to them as well. These reciprocal partnerships are a great way to break down that town versus gown barrier that we often see with the community and university. So one of the ways Campus Kitchens goes beyond the meal is through nutrition education. These programs include SNAP outreach, farmers markets, and classes on nutrition and/or cooking. We even provide curriculums on healthy eating on a budget and garden-based education for youth. Some campus kitchens also partner with community gardens and farms or even create their own. This is a really creative way to increase fresh produce in meals, connect with partners and students, and can even be used as a platform for education and positive interactions. Other ways of going beyond the meal can involve economic empowerment programs, such as culinary job training, on-campus farmers markets, and the creation of food hubs. Lastly, community development projects are also ways of schools going beyond the meal. These can include senior wellness classes, intergenerational service project, after-school programs, backpack programs, and community dinners. These are all projects that build connections within the community, and you can really get creative with this. So this brings us to student leadership development. This has been an amazing byproduct and of the Campus Kitchen's work. So since students, in essence, are running their own nonprofit, they're being given high levels of responsibility, which gives them really tangible work-related skills that line up perfectly with what a lot of employers are looking for. This is a large component to our work and obviously crucial to you all. 9 out of 10 student volunteers agree that their leaderships acquired will make them more likely to find a job. And as you can see, 100% of our students felt that they have contributed in a valuable way to our community. And as far as our impact on the campus and the community, 100% of client agencies believe that we have increased their access to healthy food. 94% are more able to identify the situation of the people they serve, and 67% agree participating in the Campus Kitchen has influenced their career path, which is really wonderful in the outcomes that we're looking for. So now on to the exciting part of starting your own Campus Kitchen. So just looking at the big picture, as you can see here, these are all of the components that are crucial to starting your own Campus Kitchen. These are the 4 primary aspects needed to start every Campus Kitchen, although our model is often tailored specifically to each school and each community. So first, we'll start with school support. Having support from your school can make creating and sustaining your campus kitchen that much easier and is really essential to a sustainable campus kitchen. Each campus kitchen needs what we call a sponsoring office, which is really just a place to call the campus kitchen home. We want the campus kitchen to be sustainable and deeply rooted on campus, not just a floating entity throughout campus that will leave as students graduate. This would most likely be your Office of Student Engagement, your Service Learning Office, Office of Community Engagement, something along those lines, but can also be an on-campus department. They're going to be the first group you need to reach out to and can help connect you with other students, programs, and staff that might be interested in the project. So aside from having a sponsoring office, fostering a variety of other staff and admin support on campus can be really beneficial. So feel free to reach out to professors if you have a nutrition education department, things like that. And approach your service office to ask what other potentials of starting a campus kitchen. This is going to be your next step. We have a great one-pager on the planner that highlights some frequently asked questions and points. So now on to student support. Students are at the core of every campus kitchen and hold a variety of roles within it. Each campus kitchen must first have a strong leadership team consisting of anywhere between 5 to 12 students. This leadership team is not only important once your campus kitchen is operating, but also crucial during the planning period. A leadership team guides the campus kitchen and provides structure and support on campus. The leadership team can come from a class, department, or generally recruited from the student body. Students also must be the volunteer base for each campus kitchen and provide physical manpower to run daily operations. Students have the opportunity to lead those shifts as well as take on further leadership responsibility by chairing a position on the leadership team. So often interest can spark just from one student, but feel free to reach out to clubs on campus, and as I mentioned, if you have a nutrition major, that would also be a great idea, and a service department. Sometimes you can recruit volunteers that way as well. So I keep mentioning this leadership team. So leadership structures, every campus kitchen has different models of leadership, and this is really tailored to what your campus needs in particular. Some are student-run, some are run by part-time staff, such as AmeriCorps Vistas, and some are run by full-time staff. So the next step would be establish your student leadership team. Many times a good place to start is to look for already existing classes or clubs on campus that might want to take on this project and be the main leaders to establish it. If you can get a class or club to sponsor, you already have students built in, and you can just promote the leadership team throughout campus media and form a leadership team that way, or asking professors to help connect you with other interested students. You can also start looking into charting your campus kitchen as an official group on campus and registering as a club. And I know some of you joining us have a Bonner program. That would also be a great way to recruit students, and also that office could act as a sponsorship office. So dining support. Dining support is also the most crucial yet most difficult aspect of starting a campus kitchen. So as you can see here, dining is often concerned with liability issues, but did you know that the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act essentially ensures that we are not liable, nor is dining liable, for donating in good faith? And in our 12 years of operating, there's not been a single liability or issue at any campus kitchen regarding client food safety. And this is something you really want to stress to dining when approaching them for their support. And you could also mention that the Campus Kitchen projects takes measures far beyond necessary industry standards to ensure the proper safety and sanitation for their kitchen operations. And this is a paperwork system that we call HACCP. I can go into that later on when we get to that point. And we also have leadership team and certain student volunteers take the ServSafe examination, which your dining services will be very familiar with. So your dining support next step. I would suggest reaching out to your dining services director or manager. You might use your sponsor or other admin or staff to facilitate this connection for you. Pitch the idea of a campus kitchen to them and be sure to have the liability information on hand. I'm sure this is one of the first things that they'll mention. Talk about the potential space and food donations possibilities first. And even if there's a small operation, sometimes certain campus kitchens can just utilize a corner of a kitchen, even if it's just a table and a pantry. Starting there is still definitely doable. So the planner will also provide all the tools and information you need to pitch this idea to dining. And it's also smart to come to that meeting with your sponsor, if you have one by then, or other higher administrative staff that is on board. They can even potentially reach out for you and keep things moving more quickly. You can start reaching out to other potential food donors in your community as well. I know a lot of you on this call also mentioned that you have partnerships already formed with food banks, restaurants, supermarkets, farms, and other schools. So that's something you could definitely explore in the meantime while you're contacting dining. So now onto community support. This is the last of the four partnerships that you need to acquire. So Campus Kitchen Projects really prides itself on being a community-focused program. Every campus kitchen fully assesses their community and identifies already existing assets that they can utilize for their campus kitchen partnership. Your campus kitchen will need to identify and pick community partners to deliver your meals to. Looking at what other organizations your university might already have partnered with is a great place to start. Piggybacking on other service programs or campus partnerships might also be very fruitful relationships. And I know some of you also mentioned that you volunteer with the Boys and Girls Club or are already a part of an after-school program, and this would be a great place to start if you already have those relationships formed. It's really important that the relationship between the campus kitchen and the community partners be reciprocal, where each group benefits from others in different ways. The next step is to gain community support, would be to assess your community needs and assets and pinpoint the unmet needs and gaps in services and set up meetings with potential clients. The Campus Kitchen has a community assessment tool that schools can use to facilitate this process as well. Okay, so now on to the launch process, which is really exciting. The first step, which many of you already completed, is the Getting Started form. So filling out a Getting Started form is the first initial thing you need to do. Some of you are already on our planner, which is great, but I'm just going to cover this for those of you that are not. Once you fill this form out, you'll receive an email from me, which will inform you about our planner. And this link here, campuskitchens.org, Start a Kitchen, is where you will find the Getting Started form. Now that you have learned what the initial steps to get started, I want to tell you about our amazing online Campus Kitchen Planner. This tool provides a step-by-step process of how to complete the rest of the planning at your school. Beyond just laying the path to launch, the planner also houses a lot of our resources, documents, and information you'll need along the way. You can invite your team to the planner, assign certain tasks, set personal deadlines, and even communicate with your team and our national staff all on the planner. So it's really going to be the home base to your campus kitchen planning, and there is no commitment to accepting the planner. I know some of you have asked me that as well, so feel free to accept and look online at all the tools that we have. So while every school is really different, we find that most schools take a little less than a semester to finalize the process and launch their campus kitchen, but you can really get started at any time. And we have a lot of upcoming grant opportunities in the spring, and we'll be talking about that in a minute. So this brings us to the last step, the contract and launch. Once you have completed the online planner and submitted all the necessary documents that accompany it, you will be ready to start operations, and a representative from our office will come to your campus and launch and celebrate and get you all trained. One of the best ways to get started on our planner is to take advantage of our grant competitions. A lot of you asked me about this, and we actually do have an upcoming grant competition next week, so you could see how that process goes, although there's not that much time to get you qualified, but next semester we have 2 more grant opportunities. So schools that qualify submit a short video showing the need in their community and why they believe a campus kitchen at their school could help impact the need. Then these videos are voted on by the general public for 1 week, and those schools on the top are awarded $5,000 of grants to start their very own campus kitchen. To qualify, some schools must submit, or all schools, sorry, must submit 4 letters of support, 1 from students, 1 from staff, a sponsor, and dining, and then a letter of intent to sign our contract from administration. You can find all this information on the planner as well. And the great news is that these qualifying steps are the exact same steps you would need to take to plan your own campus kitchen anyway, but this way you can get significant funding as well. So our next possible grant competition is focused specifically on schools addressing older adult populations, and that's through the AARP Foundation. And then we will have another one in May, which is open more to general campus kitchens, not focusing specifically on older adults. So this is going to conclude our presentation, and thank you so much for taking the time to participate in the webinar. I would like to open up the floor now to all of you for some time to ask questions, and I also want to encourage all of you to fill out our Getting Started form online, and the link is below. If you're interested in starting a campus kitchen at your school or in your community, are there any questions I can answer for you?